Gabriel Bernardo de Silva. He is a Rotary Peace Fellow, and he is attending the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. His topic today will be refugee assistance. Oops, sorry. Gabriel is a political scientist, sociologist, and lawyer with a passion for human rights and peace building. After working as a teacher and a lawyer, he volunteered for 4 years in several areas related to humanitarianism and international relations around the world. In 2016, Gabriel was nominated by the Morris Institute to open a new project in southern Italy aimed to help children and young refugees, especially unaccompanied minors. He worked in 6 refugee camps in Sicily and was part of the group Emergency Response from the Italian Red Cross, where he worked in the save and rescue operations as a humanitarian law operative in the Mediterranean Sea from 2017 to 2019. Gabriel is sponsored by the Rotary District 2110, and that covers Sicily and Malta. Please welcome our speaker today, Gabriel. And Gabriel, feel free to share your screen.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me good? Okay, my sound's okay. Wonderful. So first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be invited. All the time that the Rotary clubs invited me to share a little bit of my experience, I try to say yes, because I think that the work that I had there, it was more than a job. It was a kind of a mission, and I cannot keep this inside me. You know, I have to talk with more people, and I have to spread out the message and the things that I saw there and the things that I lived there. So first of all, thank you so much for the space and for this time. I don't want to create like a frontal speech here. So I think that if you have questions or comments, just open your microphones and speak, because I know that the things that I will talk in this next 25 half hour, we know a lot and we live a lot, because entering in the issue, sometimes when we talk about refugees, we are used to talk about the other. You know, it's easy to put the finger and say, no, they are coming, they are crossing the borders, they are stealing our jobs, they are. But in Brazil, I don't know if in the US you have this sentence, but in Brazil, when you point a finger, you have 3 pointing to you, you know? So yeah, you know, so sometimes when I got there, when I arrived in Italy, I'm a Brazilian, as you said, I'm a lawyer and I'm a social politician, but this is just pieces of paper, you know. I decided to go. Before that, I was in Thailand and in Sri Lanka. I was working with children affected by the war and affected by the tsunami, and I lived in a refugee camp close to Bangkok. And I decided to start this adventure in my life, because I want to see and I want to live the things that the university couldn't give me inside the classroom or with books. So I want to see real situations and real people behind the cold letters, I can say that. So, and another thing, I'm really sorry about my bad English. I'm not in US, so I'm not living the language. So any mistake or any verb or pronunciation, So please forgive me. I am also a migrant. I'm trying to do my best here. So returning, I decided to go to Italy and to go to these places because I want to see in first person the human rights things that I was just studying behind the desk, you know. And I discovered a new word and a totally different word. Okay, we have books and articles and the whole academia behind that, but there are faces behind numbers, you know. So there are people, we are not talking about trends and graphics, we are talking about John, Mary, Muhammad, you know, they are flesh and blood, they have feelings. So I want that in the end of this half hour, if you realize that there are people behind the fences and behind the walls, they have stories, they have life, they have feelings. The hurt that I feel, they feel the same. The homesick that I feel, they feel the same. The hungry that I feel, they feel the same. The love that I feel, they feel the same. Sometimes it's easy when we saw like the stereotype of migrants. And as I said at the beginning, when we point a finger, we have three pointed at us. So we are not talking about them, but we are talking about us as humans. And I will share my screen because I don't remember how. Okay, I find it here. Let us see if it works. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I will start the presentation. Oh, it's good because I can see you also. Wonderful. Okay. So let's move on. This is a guy from Brazil. I'll tell you a story from the beginning. This is a guy from Brazil. This is not a Photoshop, okay? I am strong like this guy. No, I'm kidding. I can't start because I'm Brazilian. So of course, when we talk about Brazil, we talk about soccer, carnival, Amazon, and nowadays, unfortunately, bad politicians. But I think that all over the world, we have the same. But anyway, so football and soccer, it's part of us. And in 1989, I was born here in Brazil, and because of that, I am Brazilian, and I can play to, if I was a good player, I can play to my national team, to the World Cup, and this kind of thing, yes? But when I traveled to Italy, I realized and I discovered that my grandparents, my family, they came from a piece of Italy like 130 years ago. They moved to Brazil. They were escaping from the war and the things. And then I got my second citizenship. So I can also play to the Italian national team. Oh my God, who am I? I'm Italian, I like pizza, or I'm a Brazilian and I play soccer. What's happening with me? When I travel to this small village, nowadays they have less than 500 people living there. I realized that this village, in that time when my great-great-father moved, it wasn't Italy. It was before the unification. It was Austria. And I said, come on, I can play for 3 teams. I can play in the World Cup for Brazil, for Italy, and for Austria. What's happening with me? And I was confused. And then when I went to the neighborhood, because there was a village, and then the neighborhood inside the village, that neighborhood wasn't Austria. It was half Croatia, half Slovenia, because it's really close to the border that we created later on. So what am I? Where do I come from? What's happening with me? I was confused because I was born thinking that I was Brazilian. Well, as a Brazilian, I speak Portuguese, I like rice and beans, and I play soccer. What's happening with me? And then my question is, what are we? If I ask here, I'm pretty sure that in our families and in our great parents, there were some migrants forced migrants or not, because if we talk about slavery, they were migrants, they had a different culture, they were brought forcibly to America. And here in Brazil, we have a lot of this in our culture. So I will read this for you. I found this during the university and during one course that I had in university. And it's the only piece, the only piece that we will read in my whole presentation. They are usually small in stature and dark-skinned. I'm sorry because I translated from the Italian, so maybe something is wrong, okay? Many stink because they wear the same clothes for weeks. They build shacks in the suburbs. When they get close to the center, they rent apartments falling apart at a high price. They show up at 2, and soon after a few days, they become 4, 6, 10. They speak incomprehensible languages, perhaps dialects. They are said to be given to theft and, if stopped, violent. Our women avoid them either because they are unattractive and wild, or because there is a general rumor of violence when they return from work. The government has opened the border too much, but above all, it has failed to choose between those who enter in the country to work and those who think of living off scams or even criminal activities. Maybe this is a piece of discourse, European or Italian discourse, or this is a piece of New York Times or Fox News article, I don't know, talking about the African refugees and migrants entering in Europe, or the Afghanistans crossing to Turkey, or even the Latin Americans trying to reach US. But I took this from a report of the US Congressional Migration Inspectorate talking about the Italian migrants to US more than 100 years ago. It means that more than 100 years ago, the speech was the same. And they were talking about our family, our great parents, our dads, you know, our mothers. So the history is not a line, but it's a spiral. We return to the same point in a different point. We are repeating the same hate speech against these people that maybe our past family heard, you know. And this was a shock for me when I discovered that. I don't know if you can hear, but this is a very fast video that closed this introduction with you. So this is some pictures that maybe the Italian crossing the Atlantic to go to, or the Irish going to US, or the Japanese come to Brazil, the Germany, the people from Germany or Europeans coming to Brazil. And this is nowadays.
Gabriel, I checked your microphone after the video. We can't hear you too well.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Very faint.
I will try to. Can you hear me now?
That's better. Yes, yes.
So I was saying, this is a picture from our migrants, our family, the people like 100 years ago crossing the ocean, spreading out. And this is from nowadays, the people trying to have a better life, escaping from different reasons. Sometimes, and this is a reality that I was living, I was working with the rescue and save operations with the Red Cross in the Mediterranean. So I will share with you some of my experiences there. And when I arrived there in 2016, they were traveling in like these wood boats. And little by little, they moved and they changed to these rubber boats. And these rubber boats is much more dangerous because after like a day and a half, maximum 2 days, the boat collapsed and all the people died, you know. This was the arrival. So the moment that they get to the new place, you know, maybe the New York port or Brazilian port or Argentinian port or whatever. And this is how they arrive nowadays. So this is a picture that I took in 2017, how the people get there to Sicily, in Sicily. Unfortunately, sometimes it's the people maybe don't know, but they don't reach directly Italy or directly Greece or directly other European southern countries. They are in the middle of the ocean waiting for other big boats like save and rescue boats to go there. And sometimes there are wind, there are rain, and the boat crashed, the boat collapsed. So unfortunately, sometimes the people do not arrive like this, but they arrive like this. This is really, really common. If we have, like today in Brazil, it's a rainy day, so we are expected that tomorrow a lot of things like this would happen. Sometimes they arrive like this, and these are a phenomenon, a very strong phenomenon there. It calls the unaccompanied minors. So it's a very high number of children and minors. And when we say not minors, it's like under 18, but they are still children. They are teenagers and even small children arriving alone. Why they're alone? We will discuss this in 5 minutes. If I don't say that, ask me why they got there alone. And unfortunately, they arrive also like this. It's very common when we just have bodies. And I was working also with the Red Cross in a sector. We created the Restoring Family Links sector team. And I was in charge of recognizing the bodies, because if in the future someone arrive asking for, I want information from my mom have a scar here, my mom was this height and dark skin and this and that and that. And then we have as much information as possible to recognize and put the families together when was possible. These were the faces of these people, the migrants that arrived in the US and arrived in Brazil and arrived in different places all over the world 100 and more years ago. And these are the faces of the people arriving nowadays and arriving there in Italy, where I was working. These were the mothers, and I don't have children yet, but I assume that putting myself in a boat is one thing, but putting my children, putting my daughter, my son in a boat and risking their lives, it means that the places that I am coming from, it's really, really complicated and dangerous, And this is the mothers and the fathers of nowadays, today. I'm not talking about something that I lived 2019 or 18. No, nowadays, today, yesterday, 1 hour ago, this is happening. And these are the children, and just for you to know, as I mentioned, there's a big phenomenon of unaccompanied minors, and they got there alone first because they got lost in the middle of the journey. we will have the opportunity to understand this journey. Or second, because they are bigger enough. This guy no, but they are like 11, 12, 13 years old, and they are strong and big, so they can travel alone. And sometimes the family spend the whole money that they have to save them. This person said, when you got there, send money back and save us also. And or third, because the adult that was with him died or in the desert or died in the ocean. So that these are the three reasons why these children arrived there alone. So these are some information just for you to have in mind. The general speech that I was hearing in Europe when I got there some years ago was, oh, there's an invasion. We cannot deal with all this problem. Okay, nowadays in the world there were 82.4 million forced people, displaced people. So 82 million migrant refugee around the world. If you see in 2017 there were 68, in 2018 there were 70. So this number is getting high every year. So it's a trend. The number is getting high. It's a problem that we have to face in the future. We cannot close our eyes and put the dust under the carpet. No, we have to face, we have to deal with that because they're human, okay? And 86%, these are numbers from the last UNHCR report. That's why it's the last year, every year they update this. So this is the last one. And 86% of the refugees around the world, they are in developing countries, because these long journeys, these long trips is not the majority. The majority stay in countries around. For example, Colombia receive a lot of people from Venezuela. Lebanon and Turkey receive a lot of people from Syria. These long journeys that the people arriving in Europe or arriving in the US, they are just 14%. 86% of the refugees are hosted in developing countries close to the country that the people escaped. Okay, and as I mentioned, the highest, the top one of receiving countries are Turkey, as you can see here, 3.7 million refugees are there, and then Colombia, Pakistan, Uganda, and then one developed country, Germany. Okay. I don't want to disturb you with numbers and graphics. The most important thing is the experience. So let's move on fast here. But just for you to know, the Syria is the highest country that the people are escaping from. Maybe in next report, we will see here Afghanistan getting height. But then Venezuela, Afghanistan, even with the US presence there, they were 2.6. They were the third one, okay, in the last report. So let's wait the next one. And this is these are the receiving countries. So as I mentioned, Turkey, Colombia, Germany, Pakistan, and Uganda. Okay, and the United States come here, but 0.3. 52%. This means more than a half are children. And 10 years ago, like 12 years ago, there were 41. So more than a half of all these numbers that we are talking about, they are children, like these children that I was working and teaching, and I was there with them in Italy. Okay. So one important question. I'm talking about my experience there, and where do they come from? Those who arrived in Italy, in Europe, specifically in Sicily. My first year of work, as I was presented, my first year of work in Italy was to understand the situation. So what's happening here? Where do these people are coming from? From where? Why? What is the journey? the receiving system, it's working, it's not working. How the mafia it's dealing with all of this, because as you know, we are in Sicily, in the south of Italy, so it's a business, it's a big business. But well, anyway, we're gonna talk about that later. And these people that are coming from, they come from different places. Have you heard, I'm pretty sure, I'm kidding with you, but have you heard about the Arabic Spring? Yes, all the class from here. Yes, okay. So after the Arabic Spring and all this movement in the North African countries, there was some revolutions, and Libya, that was like a dictatorship, Libya became the open corridor that received all that channeled all these people to reach the Mediterranean waters. Because before this, there was like a dictatorship wall blocking these people to reach the waters and to have the opportunity to take the boats, you know. So these people come from Gambia, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, this part here. Can you see my, yeah, okay, this Atlantic South Saharan countries. So we are talking about Gambia, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, all these countries here. Sometimes they come from this, the African Horn. So they come from this, and they have long journeys, like 1 year, 1.5 years. They don't have enough money to travel. They are crossing dangerous countries also. They are raped. They had a lot of violence, tortured, and then they have to cross the desert. The biggest problem, also one of the biggest problems, is to cross the desert. And the Balkans, the green lines here are closed because Turkey is receiving money from the European Union to block migrants there. So these people start after the Arab Spring going to Libya. Libya, as I said, is not the closest point, but Libya is the open corridor that allow these people to reach the Mediterranean. So that's why they come to this Mediterranean, the Central Mediterranean route. And I was working exactly here, Malta, Sicily, and Libya. Okay. This is how the people cross the desert, and some research say that more than a half of the people that, because we don't have trustful numbers, we don't know how many people get out of Nigeria or how many people flew from this country. So we don't have good numbers to rely on, you know. But some indications say that more than the half of these people, they died in the desert. Okay. And they got in Libya. Libya is a failed state. They are in a civil war for more than 10 years. There were a United Nations operation there, and they're still in war. And this is what is happening in Libya. Just some images for you to know.
I'm 15 years old. I'm from Nigeria. Been in this place for 7 months. This place, they beat us. They take us as if we are slaves. They flog us with a pipe. We are always inside the room. We never come out. People are dying. Many people are dying in this place. When someone died in the desert, they throw the body away. They don't bury the person. Around, they are killing people in Nigeria. I lost my mom. I lost my dad. I was afraid. I was suffering.
So these were, and this is what is happening there. These groups in Libya, they took these people and they called back the family in Nigeria, in Gambia, in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, doesn't matter. And they say, hey, I have your son here, I have your father here. If you don't send $500, if you don't pay us, because they need money to make their war. They need money to buy guns from G7 countries, and they need money to do the civil war. And then they sell these people. We are talking about slavery nowadays. So we can use these pictures in a history book to talk about the slavery in Brazil or in the US like 300 years ago, 200 years ago. But now we're talking about nowadays in Libya. And I'm not talking about something that I saw on Facebook or I saw in Instagram. No, I will show you one of my students, and they told us these stories. This is true. You can believe it. But anyway, I will move on because we will not have enough time. These are just numbers explaining the situation. And one thing that I want to highlight here, it's this, like 2017, almost 120,000 people arrived in Italy. The next year, 2018, they got 23,000. So the number got down. What was happening? The people start moving. The people start getting out. No, these people are still getting out. They are still fleeing from their countries. But if they are not arriving in Italy, and this was the moment, you can see here, this was the moment, July of 2018, they approved, the Italian government approved the law to finance these groups in Libya, give money, give guns, give boats, rather logistical help, logistical aid to block the people in Libya before. So that's why the people are not coming. That's why the people are not reaching Italy, because they're blocked in Libya. The same process that the European Union is doing with Turkey. It means that Italian public money financing a war in the other side of the Mediterranean with the reason to block migrants and keep these people in this situation that you saw, okay? And this law also criminalized those NGOs who were, and I was working there, the NGOs that were working in Mediterranean to save the people. So if we, after this law, if we took the people in the middle of the ocean and we saved the people, we were not allowed to go back, to travel back to Italy, to let these people, to put these people in the ground. Can you understand? So they canceled the NGOs authorizations in the ports. So did they solve the problem? No, that guy and some of these people, they're still getting out of their countries because the situation in their countries are the same. If they are not arriving in Italy, if they are not arriving in Europe, where are they? Or in Libya, blocked there, or in the bottom of the ocean, because they are dying more. That's the situation. And my second half, the year and a half, my last year and a half, it was completely crazy. We saw a lot of situations like this. One boat, everyone died. Second boat, everyone died. Third boat, everyone died. The fourth boat, oh, we can save someone now. But the situation got really, really bad. These are informations from now, from today. And you can see these are numbers of deaths in routes, migration routes all over the world. I am working now as a part of my Rotary fellowship, I am working in the IOM, and we have access to some numbers. And these are the deaths in this year in migration routes all over the world. And if you can see, if we add the Mexican-US border, the Latin American borders, and if we add all the numbers, we don't have half of these Mediterranean deaths here. So we are talking about the deathless, I don't know how to say it, route all over the world. The people are really dying. And these are the bodies that were collected, because we don't know. We really don't know if a boat sink and everyone died. We don't know. We don't have numbers. These are only the numbers of the bodies that were collected. You know, this number is really, really much higher. Anyway, I will move on here, and I know that I don't have much more time, but anyway, this was one of my operations that I was working there, and when we got there, everyone was unfortunately, and we were able to save just this woman. And anyway, just to finish and then to open to discussion, I'm sure that you have a lot of things to say also. As I said in the beginning, there are faces behind these numbers. There are stories, there are people. We are not talking about numbers and graphics. We are talking about Omar. We are talking about Chris. We are talking about Mary. We are talking about Gabriel. We're talking about Carol. You know, because Carol, maybe you are not a migrant, but your son, your daughter, they are migrants. They are in Europe studying, or they are in another place in US, because movement of people, it's normal. It's normal. We move. Maybe the human beings started like years and years and years ago in Africa, and they traveled and they walked, and now here we are. So movement of people are normal. We don't need to block. We need to manage. We need to manage. And since the moment that we recognize human rights, we are not asking human rights, comma, because they were born in Europe. Human rights, comma, because they have passport. Human rights, comma, because they are Christians. Human rights only if they have white skin. No, human rights because they're not a dog, they're not a cow, they are human like us. So these are the faces behind the numbers. Maybe you can call me again in another time, and then I can talk about these guys, some of these stories, the experience that I have with the mafia and in the refugee camps in the southern Italy. But I'm pretty sure that there are so many beautiful people and rich stories and very full of joy, full of suffering also. I was working in some refugee camps, and we were promoting an integration center, because we realized that the gap was not the receiving system. After reaching the port, they have a roof, a doctor, and a bed. Okay, they have water and food. Okay, but the next step, how did they learn a language? How did they do documents? How do they become part of the society? How do they learn their new culture? What is being a woman in Africa? It's totally different what is being a woman in Europe. What is family in Africa? It's totally different what is family in Europe. So they need to learn different skills. And this was the gap to be fulfilled, this integration process. So I managed this integration center where we offered Italian classes, where we offered cultural integration classes, job formation. Well, I'm sure that we can discuss this, but what I want to leave you is with these faces. And again, when we talk about migrants, we are not talking about them, you know? We are not, 20 years ago, Venezuela was called the Latin America Switzerland, because they have a lot of money, development is coming, And nowadays, they are the second country that have most refugees around the world. So I don't want this, but maybe in the future, I will have to escape. You will have to escape. We don't know. You know. So talking about refugees and migrants, we are not talking about them. We are talking about us. I would show you a video, but we don't have time, so I will send you the link. And then it's a story about a guy that I was working from. We produced a documentary, a video documentary with 5 stories of 5 guys that were our students. And then you can see later and be inspired of their journeys. But this is the most important thing. And with this, I completely finish my long talk. Oh, Gabriel, what should I do? Maybe I can go there and save the world and go to the boat and save the no. This was my call. I was called for that. And I am now in a Rotary Fellowship to be instrumentalized, to receive new tools, to go back to the field and to do my work. Maybe you have your job, you have your things, but I'm sure that the migrants and the refugees are not so far from your reality. So little things, the biggest change we can do in the world, it's not a big act, a big thing. No, it's the little things, you know? And this is a very nice thing. Like if many little people in many little places do many little things, maybe in the future, a big change. So all the sand in the desert, in the beach, it's made of small grains. So all the music is made of one note, you know. So one by one, you, me, Chris, Teresa, David, little things that we can do, changing our perspective and talk with people, this will change the world. So I'm pretty sure that we can do a big difference in the world. So it was that. Thank you. And I hope that we can discuss a little bit more and my English was acceptable.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. And your English was great. I know someone put in, I think it was Larry said, your English is so much better than my Portuguese. Lordy, I couldn't even say anything in Portuguese, let alone. So I commend you for taking the time to learn other languages and to do the great work that you're doing around the world. And very pleased that you are have been selected as one of our Rotary Peace Fellows, and will be able to, when you complete your 2-year term, go out into the world and represent Rotary and the good works we're doing around the world. I have a question. So you talked about integration, and I would like you to explain integration versus assimilation.
When Teresa invited me, she didn't say that you were so intelligent to this kind of question. So I wasn't prepared, but anyway, if I know it before, but anyway, I'm joking. Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because when you talk about integration, it's different of interaction. It means that the culture, they don't have borders. So if I go to US, I will bring my culture with me. You know, I can give you a lot of examples that, okay, integration is not the end of the line, but integration is the first step. We don't need to cancel the other people, you know? It means that, for example, you know that Italy is known all over the world because of their food, and they're so proud of Italian food. And I'm pretty sure that if I ask here, who likes Italian food? Everyone here, or at least 9%. Okay, thank you so much. And I was in Sicily. So inside Italy, they recognize that the Sicilian food is the best one, even for the Italians. but they are really proud of that. We organized a party in one center, trying to put the people together, the citizens, with the children and the teenagers from one of the camps. Try to integrate them. And the people, they were so proud of their food. They prepared and they cooked the best pasta. And they said, no, this is the best cheese. We don't give this for anyone. This is like a treasure that we only give for, and the children and the people from camp, they ate and they hated it because they're not used. They are used to rice. They're used to couscous. They're used to different kind of spicy food. So the cultural integration, it's really important. You will not cancel what you have, but you have to try to see the world with the glasses of the others. It means that they are giving, and they were like hurted, but come on, we are giving our best and they are hating that, yeah, but they are not used to that. And the children and the migrants also need to understand this. So it's a very complicated and very difficult. Okay, we can find job for them. We can teach a language, but the cultural integration, what, as I mentioned, what is being a woman? What is the role of a man? What is expected from family? This is really different. And this cultural integration needs time, really needs time. So if you take a person from Nigeria and just catapultate directly to Germany, what will happen with this person? This person will bring the culture together, but he needs time to assimilate my actions and to assimilate what's arriving to me, what they expect from me. I don't know if I answered your question, but it's different. And it's the first step is integration. But after that, we have assimilation. And after that, we have interaction. Interaction, most important. We don't cancel you, but you bring what you have and you share with the others, you know? But to reach this point, we need a solidarity level and a society opening level that maybe we are not ready for that, you know?
Thank you. Thank you. And Chris, you said you have your hand up.
I just want to see what you're thinking about the future with climate change and migration. I know that's going to be a big issue. Can you talk about that?
This is my master thesis orientation. I'm not sure directly what I will write about, but it's something around this, because what's happening, the whole world that we are living nowadays, this world were designed in a post-Second World War moment, and our world is designed based in state sovereignty. This is really important. So states are sovereign, so this to decide the things, and the United Nations system is based on state sovereignty. What's happening, Chris? We are facing problems that the territorial sovereignty cannot answer. Climate change, the pollution produced in China is destroying the Arctic ice, and then the Brazil is suffering rain changes, and this the nature don't know borders and territories. These is our creations, and refugee is also refugee is also a problem that goes beyond this state sovereignty. So we need to face this kind of problems to redesign the way that the world is designed. You know, we cannot, it's too big. It's something, it's like the kind of dream, but we will not solve the problem with the same level of conscience and the same level of, with the way that the word is designed. Because the people that arrive in US borders in Mexico, they are not only Mexicans. Maybe they are not Mexicans. They are traveling from different other places. As I show you, the people that arrive in Italy, they're not Libyans, they're Nigerians. So how we will solve this problem using the same level of the things that create this problem, you know? So we need to redesign the way that United Nations are, or the way of bilateral agreements are made, because the way that they are made nowadays, we cannot solve it.
Thank you.
And this is for climate change, and this is for all the problems that go beyond the state sovereignty.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I am going to share my screen again. And Gabriel, we want to thank you again for your presentation and for all the work that you've done and the great things I know that you will do in the future. So thank you for being a Rotary Peace Fellow. We have a certificate of appreciation that we will email to you after the meeting, so that you will have this as a memory of being here and presenting to our club today.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
your invitation, and I'm always available.
Thank you very much. And then I'd like to go